Purchase your tracks today.
Like mine. Take my time. Always wonder where to go. Wanna chill and take it slow, so I cook with baking soda. Remind me I'm a soldier. Remind me of my pain, sacrifices that I made for the life I like to gain. That's what's wrong, say I'm
Purchase
okay.
your tracks
Show me
today.
there's another way. Get so mad I go insane. Pick your battle, not with pain. Strike a match to light a flame. Slept with rats, raccoons, and snakes. Some were pests and some were brave. Use your fist, the old heads say. Live to fight another day. Guess I'll write another page. They tell you pick up the pace as if we're running a race. Man, I'm so done with the
Purchase your
chase.
tracks today.
Red like mine. Take my time. Pray to God to save my life. For right now, I'll take a break. Moving hips will stop the ache. Sick of all the awkward hate. I'm crazy, I'm not ashamed. A little odd, I'm not untamed. I got good at spotting fakes. They soulless corpse riding in gray. No matter how much time it
Purchase your
takes. I
tracks
made
today.
a vow I will be great. Consistent driving, still behave. I wish I wasn't so afraid. Worried about what people say. It's common to make mistakes. Well, then tell that to my brain and serve myself and others rage. Like low key by me, they drained. I hope my soul proliferates. Enter into a different age. I'm cleaning up amidst the stain. Just hope my life ain't pissed
Purchase
away.
your tracks today.
Red like mine. Take my time. Pray to God to save my life.
State my case. I personally believe that the Euro-Afro mixed heritage has been around way longer than we think, while other genetic haplogroups in various parts of the world grew to dominate over us and people like us. But we have always been around, even in the background politically and economically. But in the age of exploration and colonization, gave mulattoes a special role in history, a unique spot that gave us a possible edge that was seen as a threat by both oppressor and oppressed. Therefore, the mulatto label and identity was stripped and placed back at will, depending on how much influence we had gained, just to control the narrative and put us back into our place. Mulatto has been an established, acknowledged racial class of people since 1492 and has been used to oppress and be oppressed, hence its controversy, but the Euro-Afro mix has been around way longer than that. And the evidence that I found was it was two of 18 buried individuals at the Kent and Dorset site in England during the early medieval ages had 20 to 30% West African ancestry. In the 7th to 11th centuries in southern Spain, Visigoth individuals had North African admixture, possibly due to Punic movement to Iberia or pre-Islamic contact around the Gibraltar area. No increase in northern Spain before or after the Umayyad expansion. Berber and Arab communities practiced patriarchal structures that allowed for mobility of females higher than males than other cultures seen at the time, connecting possible North African admixture through certain parental and maternal lineages in some individuals in 8th to 10th century Portugal. The Neolithic Revolution also introduced agriculture to the world through societies of migrating farmers in West Asia called Anatolian Neolithic farmers, originating from obviously Anatolia. These farmers introduced agriculture to Europe in 7000 BC, replacing or breeding with the local populations who were hunter-gatherers at the time and had been there since the Paleolithic. They are similar genetically to modern Southern Europeans. So when they picked this up, now European Neolithic farmers took this technology and technique to Northwest Africa through Gibraltar from Southwest Europe around 5400 BC and left their genetic mark on ancient and modern North Africans. In the late Neolithic and early Bronze Age, Bell-Beaker people, which were ancient Gauls, which is modern-day France, pre-Celtic, Celtic cultures and stuff like that. Well, yeah, it was before Celtic culture evolved in Europe, and ancient Iberian migrated into North Africa, contributing to their genetic heritage. The first Anatolian Neolithic farmers descended from Natufian hunter-gatherers possibly reflected the first Anatolian Neolithic farmers that descended from Natufian hunter-gatherers possibly reflected North African influences or vice versa. The Natufian culture was semi-sedentary and first introduced agriculture to the Middle East between 12,000 BC and 10,000 BC. An individual buried at an Islamic necropolis in Segorbe, Spain, shows North African and European heritage on an autosomal level. Sporadic contacts between Iberia and North Africa during the Copper and Bronze Age occurred. A male in Central Iberia from 2473 BC to 2030 BC found a cluster genetically with modern and ancient North Africans with ancestry from late Pleistocene North Africans and early Neolithic Europeans. Another sample had 25% North African ancestry. North African ancestry became common in Iberia in the last 2,000 years, commonly associated with the Roman Empire or Punic movement or later Islamic invasion. Analyzing 45 samples from southeastern Spain from the 3rd to 16th centuries in the Middle Ages, all contained a mix of European, North African DNA and some Levantine admixture. 2 out of 23 samples from the 10th to the 16th centuries even had partial sub-African ancestry, partial sub-Saharan African ancestry. Present-day Southern Iberians have less sub-Saharan heritage than Muslim because Islam rule was more recent. Paternal lineages of Muslim cemeteries in France had North African ancestry. Proof of ancient African heritage in Europe and ancient European heritage in Africa had occurred many times throughout the millennia. 3 to 5% of sub-Saharan African DNA is found in all Jewish populations and more in the Levantines. And the highest portion of African ancestry in Europe is in Iberia, in the Iberian Peninsula. Southern Europeans and Levantines, the Middle East and North Africans are more likely to have sub-Saharan admixture. Jews have the oldest sub-Saharan admixture, followed by Southern Europeans, and lastly the Levantines or Middle Easterners. Sephardis and Ashkenazis, which are Ashkenazis, European Jews, and Sephardis are Greek and Italian Jews, I think. Like Southern European Jews. Sephardis and Ashkenazis all have African admixture. Southern Europe, for Southern Europe, that was 55 generations ago their African admixture started, which was around 1,500 years ago. Of each generation is about 29 years. Multiple interactions between Africans and Europeans occurred in this area. Early 5th century and Roman invasion, early 5th century AD Roman invasion of North Africa influenced African admixture left behind. The Romans imported various goods such as wine and oil and garum from Morocco to Italy, Spain, and what was then Gaul, what is now France. From 200 AD to 600 AD, and slavery was widespread in the Western Sahara. African ancestry in Spain and Portugal appeared after, which is the Iberian Peninsula, appeared after Moorish invasion of Iberia after 711 AD. African genetics into Western Eurasia is present from West Africa during Roman times and East Africa during migrations from Egypt.